Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of our live webinar series. We've got the Alibi Security team here. We're super excited to be with you guys this morning. More importantly, we appreciate your time joining us today. We have a chock full session today as we cover a lot of technical information about Alibi Vigilant solutions. I'm Chris Miller. I'm the Director of Marketing. I've got all the other really smart people here on the team. We'll make official introductions here in just a second. We'll give about 10 seconds or so as people file in. As I mentioned, we've got a big team here today. We're going to be going into a lot of the UI for Vigilant solutions, covering a lot of great technical information. So whether you're on the sales side of things or on the installer side of things, this is going to be a really informative session. And as always, we'll make this webinar session available via our YouTube channel. Just search for Alibi Security out on YouTube. Make sure you guys, when you find us, you check out all the great information, all the latest videos we've produced on Vigilant solutions. And more importantly, subscribe and click the bell so whenever we post new videos, you guys get notified. Okay. All right, as I mentioned, I'm Chris Miller. I'm the Director of Marketing. Yeah, we're going to be talking about installing and managing Vigilant solutions today. Really important topic, as we've launched this line. We are very aware that we have a large dealer partner base who has been very ingrained in how to install Alibi witness solutions, right? Completely different product line, different functionality. There's some different features. But one of the things that we want to make sure that everyone who's joining us today is super comfortable with is how easy Alibi Vigilant solutions are to install and manage. Our product team that has tons of experience in the industry is always going to go out and procure product with you in mind. And that means making sure it delivers the same, if not better functionality as the prior product line, i.e. witness, and that it's easier to use. So today, as we go through this, we're going to continue to compare and contrast the two lines because we think it's really important that you guys come away with this with peace of mind that, number one, the solution's really easy to install and use on an ongoing basis, not only for you and your installers and techs, but also for the customer, right? And then number two, that that if you have questions, if you have additional things that you need to know, our team is here to support you, whether it's our sales account managers or our product team. We are dedicated to helping you guys succeed and making sure you guys understand and can properly deploy this to make sure you're delivering great video security solutions for your customers. So with that said, like I mentioned, we've got a big team on here today. We're going to kind of ham and egg this as we go through there. We've got Norman Ragland, who's our Director of Product Management. Patrick Liggett, who's one of our product managers as well, primarily on the reporter side of things. Luis Vela, who's our video content specialist. And Luis is going to be doing a lot of the live demos today, going through the UI. And he comes from a technical support background. So if you guys recognize his voice, then there's probably a really good chance that you've talked to Luis on the phone sometime in the last couple of years. And then we've got Robbie Thomas, who is actually in transit today, but he's joining us because he spends a lot of time talking directly with our dealer partners on a daily basis and understands the pain points and the concerns that you and your teams may have as you're out there selling and installing solutions. So he's an invaluable resource for kind of relating to us and to the PMs, kind of the dealer point of view for the solutions. So there are just a few ground rules as we get started. Going to go to the next slide yet. So if you have questions, in the bottom of the Zoom window, use the Q&A feature. We'll be monitoring that regularly throughout the session. As you have questions, pop them in there. More than likely, we're going to cover your questions along the way. Robbie will be doing a great job on trying to live answer a lot of those questions as appropriate, and where we can work those into the demo, we will do that as well. But use the Q&A session or the Q&A feature, not the chat feature, because we'll be monitoring the Q&A. And as always, beyond this session, if you have any specific topics or any specific webinar sessions you'd like to see in the future, let us know that as well. We're always looking to put fresh content, fresh sessions together that really help impact your business and make it easier for you guys to go out there and sell and install security solutions. Okay, so like I said, use Q&A, and we'll go and jump in right here. Again, we're going to go through a lot of live demo. We're going to have a lot of people talking. It may be a little messy from time to time as we kind of work with each other here, but we're going to get you guys a lot of great technical information. So I'll hand it over to Norman to start running through kind of what we're going to cover as we dive into our technical demos here.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you guys for your time today. I know it's a lot to ask and schedule time out of your day, so we really appreciate it. We hope the webinar will be useful to you, and just basically what we'll cover. So, today we're covering setup for the Vigilant solution. We'll basically kind of do a walkthrough through the wizard, show you how to set that up. We'll cover some web browser functionality as well, just common setup features, and answer any questions as we go through that. And then some of the key things like P2P setup and management. We'll show you how to set that up and how to manage those accounts, how to share. And then one of the key things, I think is our Vigilant Toolbox demo. Especially for installers or for your technicians, it's easy tool to use for navigating your equipment, setting adjustments, or even doing upgrades. And we'll cover that. And then at the end, we'll cover a Vigilant mobile app demo, which you'll see where it's pretty much feature-packed app where you can do everything from that app, either live view, playback, remote configuration, all the way down to a firmware upgrade. So a lot of cool things.
Yeah, and the way we've structured this for those who have joined us on the webinar is we're going to go through each section, like Norman said. We're going to cover each of these sections in great detail with live demos, whether it's through the web browser or whether it's through the mobile app. And then after each demo, we're going to kind of give you guys kind of a key takeaways bullet point list, just so you know coming out of there, because there's going to be a lot of information, really why we went through that and why it's important to you and your business and how it makes the setup and management of this easier. Okay, so that's kind of how we structure it. But before we even go into the first demo, let's talk a little bit about witness versus vigilant. Right, so we've got a new camera line and we've got a new recorder line. I think it's really important for those who haven't joined us in the past for a Vigilant session to understand how we've built this line, why we've built into it, what we've built into it. And there's nobody better than Norman and Patrick to kind of cover off the differences and benefits of Vigilant versus witness from a camera and recorder perspective.
Exactly right. So, over the years, we've gathered a lot of feedback, just from returns or just from, talking to you guys, and we helped improve the product. Whether it's things like, hey, we want low light sensors on all of our cameras, we want built-in microphones, or we want more AI function. We made sure we covered that. So going with, the Vigilant versus witness line, we made sure things like glass lenses and some of our low light cameras, especially like our Luminite line, we're using glass lenses versus plastic. You'll see a lot of competitors list a low lux rating, and they list some type of f-stop on their lens, but the test lens that they use is a lower grade or higher grade, but the one that they provide their customer is maybe a plastic grade lens. So we make sure, that we want to make sure we're using good optics with good sensors. You'll see a huge difference, especially at nighttime, when you're using glass optics versus plastic. So that's just one of the little things that we're doing. We support the latest compression technology, cutting edge chipset. As I mentioned, Starlight is default in most of our models today. NDAA compliant, that's a key thing for the Vigilant line. It's something that we identified back in 2019 with the NDAA Act that was coming into effect. We realized that we need to make sure we armed you guys with a different solution or another solution, just in case things did go a different way. And as we see today with NDAA, with the federal government, and then recently with FCC, we see a lot of those things that did happen. So now we have a solution for you guys. It's nothing that we had to rush in really quick. We've already been offering for more than a year, so we had time to kind of work on it. But as we go forward, we're still improving it. But I think one of the besides NDAA, Starlight chipset, you'll see we're supporting human or vehicle detection. That's pretty much baked into 90% of the cameras that we offer now. Compared on the witness side, you would have to pick up a specialty camera like a SmartSense, maybe pay 2x more for that camera, and maybe it was only in 1 or 2 models. So you didn't really have a lot of options. So again, whether it's glass lenses, latest compression technology, latest chipset, compliancy, or just giving you some better features like AI, human or vehicle detection to reduce false alarms or reduce, playback time. These are the things that we brought in default to make the product better for you guys right out the gate.
Yeah, and I'm going to chime in too, Norman, because we have check marks in both Vigilant and Witness for the Starlight chipsets. It's something I want to reemphasize just because you guys do such a good job on kind of erring on the side of providing better features at the same price, right? So we know price is a really kind of key consideration for our dealer partners, right? As they're out there quoting jobs, looking at who they're going to get equipment from. It's really important that you guys really look at the internal components and what cameras are built with as you guys are comparing chipsets, right? I think with our Witness line, I would say about 75–80% of that line was Starlight chipsets. I want to say even more of our Vigilant line has Starlight chipsets, and especially the new lines we brought on from an HD perspective. As I'm looking at the onboarding process for those, tons of Starlight chipsets, and the Starlight chipsets that we're bringing on within the Vigilant line are actually better than what we had in the Witness line. But more importantly, our PMs are always going to try to provide you guys with the highest quality, best technology at a really aggressive price. And when you call up and you want to challenge your account manager about why you're seeing lower prices somewhere else, just make sure you're comparing apples to apples, because we're more than likely going to be providing a better chipset that's going to give you guys and ultimately your customers a better quality video.
Yeah, and that's true. It's I don't like to talk about cost, but yeah, we do offer a flex line as well as a performance line. That flex line is going to be there for you guys when you're running into that cost competitive bid, or when you're talking to that customer and you're really not sure if they're shopping you or not. You can always go in with that flex line bid. But again, there is differences with housing performance. So maybe the flex line will be a mix of ABS with metal versus the Pro line or performance line will be all metal alloy. So there are some differences. As we go into the recorders, I think one of the key things that we heard from a lot of dealers, especially ones that were picking up Witness, is, hey, how am I going to be able to use Vigilant recorders with Witness cameras, or how easy is it going to be to migrate over? So with Vigilant recorders, we plug and play feature. We're able to plug and play with Witness cameras. We're able to plug and play with Hikvision cameras. We're able to plug and play with OnVid cameras. So we're pretty much supporting any camera out there. We're able to plug and play, as long as you're, it's not a camera that's using a high power PoE or something like that. But with most of the Vigilant recorders, or actually all the Vigilant NVRs, you're able to plug in Witness or Hikvision cameras. So very, very flexible. From channel count, we support the 4-channel all the way up to 128 channels. So just like the Witness line, we're covering that entry level all the way up to a high enterprise class recorder for you guys. The other thing is NDAA compliant. Again, as I stressed, NDAA compliant for the Vigilant line, not so on the Witness side. You see IP there. Our hybrid recorders are not NDAA compliant. That's something we've called out and something that we're working on. Q1 of next year is when we feel we'll bring some of those in. So just keep that in mind. Cloud firmware updates. That's something that we support on Vigilant. So whether you're at the mobile app, local interface, browser, or through our Vigilant Toolbox, you could perform a firmware update from there. And again, P2P management supported. I know that's something that we support on Witness side, but the thing that we didn't support is CMS or browser support. That is supported on the Vigilant side. So you can do a P2P connection and then pull that information into your CMS. And then just configurable mobile app. Our mobile app is pretty feature packed compared to the Witness. You can add devices. You can sign up for a P2P account. You can do firmware updates from that. You can also do remote configurations, like if you forgot to turn on motion, or if you want to set up the grid, you could do that as well. So a lot of functions or capabilities through our mobile app as well. Let's see here. I think we're going to get into the setup management for Vigilant system. Basically, what we're going to cover is set up the intelligent wizard. Luis will get the screen fired up here in a minute. We're going to add IP camera, set up P2P, show you guys the record schedule and analytics, and then just show you where you can check for firmware upgrade. So right now he's getting into local interface. Take over, Luis.
Yeah. So first I'll say good morning to everybody. We're just going to kind of cover a lot of the initial setup. things like that. Pretty much what you would see in the field when you're doing the installation for customers, or rather if they're residential or commercial, etc. Basically covering the most basic things that we need to cover to kind of get in and out of the job site, in an efficient way, but also in the best way to do it. So that way you can set the customer up, get the cameras going, set the, the Vigilant app up, check, all the settings in their DVR that you need to, and then kind of continue on from there. So you see here, this is a Vigilant NVR here, 4-channel NVR. I've already gone through the setup wizard. I'm just going to talk over it real quick because it's a pretty basic wizard compared to anything that you guys are used to, specifically with the Witness. So the wizard is really the initial startup of the unit. It's going to prompt you to log in, obviously. That default password for all the Vigilant units is 123456. So you just want to, if you put that password in, it will, prompt you to create a new password. And that's where you'll create either a custom pass for the customer, whatever they would like, or if it's something that you guys use in the field for your customers, you can create those passwords there. After that, it's going to ask you to confirm the date and time. And that's going to be pretty self-explanatory at that moment. And then the next slide in the wizard is the network settings. Basically, is it plugged in? Do you want it to pull a DHCP address from the router? After that, you're done with the wizard. That's pretty much it. And I think that's kind of short and sweet for most of you guys. I remember specifically with the Witness recorders, the wizard was like this drawn out process that took like 10 minutes, right? So in this case, it's more like, hey, create a new password, make sure your date and time are set correctly. That's always important, obviously. And then, your network setting. Are you connected to the network? Do you have an IP address pulled, etc.? So once you get to that point, you can log in. It will ask you to create a pattern as well. And I've created a pattern for this unit. So now we're just going to get into all the fun stuff. I'm sure all you guys are waiting for all the fun stuff of the technical demos and just like live. Here we are. I'd kind of try to take it more on the fact that maybe if I was on site with you guys kind of giving a demo. So I'm just going to log into this unit here. And when you log into the menu, it takes you directly to the camera section of the DVR. As you can see, I have 2 cameras connected to this unit. And then you can check the status of these cameras, obviously by, clicking the preview button. More so, in your encoding options here. I'm not going to get real too far into that right now. I think we're going to cover more in the web browser. Initially, what you want to make sure, obviously, is just to make sure your cameras are up and running. So you can see that here. If you go to the live view, you can see that here as well. So that's always good, right? The next thing we really want to focus on is just the network settings. And I believe from the menu itself, if you kind of put your mouse towards the bottom and if you cover this network icon here, it does give you that connected status, right? And gives you an IP address. So that way you'll know right away, hey, this unit is connected to the internet. It did pull an address. If it wasn't connected, it'll say not connected or some kind of disabled status. I think this icon actually changes as well. So the cool thing about it is if you click on this, it actually takes you directly to the network menu. So if it is disconnected, you want to check some settings, you can come directly in here and check these settings. This unit here is obviously selected for DHCP, and it did pull a network address from my router. So I have a 1.36 address. And then kind of the most important thing that we've been kind of talking about the most is just the P2P option. Tons of benefits with the P2P using the Vigilant units compared to Witness. They're pretty simple to set up. This one I've already added it to an account, and we're going to jump to that account here in a second. But yeah, as long as it's enabled, the quickest way to do it is if you just have your customer, or if you want to add it to your own account and share it to your customer. All you'll need to do is once you have an account for your company or your kind of company account, you can scan this code and then share the device to your customer. And at that point, if you do it that way, right? If you have it add it to your account and then share it to your customer, there's a whole lot of benefits when it comes to any kind of calls from the customer. You can double check everything from your end before actually sending a truck out to the location to do these checks. So, I think it'll benefit most of you guys a ton to be able just to do those troubleshooting techniques remotely And, you know, maybe you can fix the problem just remotely without having to even get a truck out there just to, you know, reboot the unit or check for a firmware update or something, right? So, so using the P2P option is pretty good. Anyway, you got
Luis, yeah, I was just gonna say what, you know, if you kind of what Luis was showing you there, if you get the unit out the box, you plug it into your router, it obtains a DHCP address, you go to your P2P section, you enable that, you refresh the screen, you'll see that little online message. So pretty much from there, there's, you know, getting it to your account, it's pretty much talking to the internet from there. Especially once you see that device status where it says online, you know that the box is actually is working or talking. So it's just very simple to get the unit up and running online. So it's just, hey, let me get it powered up. Let me walk through the wizard. Let me assign a password to it. Let me make sure it's on my network. If it's on the network and that network is tied to the ISP provider, it'll reach out from there. So it makes it very easy. And then from there, he could scan the QR code, or we'll show you guys kind of later on how you could do it through Star4Live as well.
Yeah. And I think, like, for me personally, right, when I'm setting up a unit, even here at my house, even for test purposes, there's a handful of things that I always check, right? It's everybody, obviously the cameras are up and running. Obviously, almost every customer these days wants mobile access or remote access. That is a huge thing, right? It's very rare that you have applications where they don't want it connected to the network, but there's still some out there. But overall, you have remote access. And the other thing I really check is just the storage option here. You know, you always want to make sure your hard drive is up and running, right? We do thorough checks. We do a lot of steps in our integration process before these units are shipped out to you guys, right? We have an integration team that install these hard drives. They make sure they're up and running, but, you know, we can't guarantee that in shipping, right, one of these FedEx guys or maybe having a bad day, next thing you know, your hard drive is damaged, right, or it's not working. So always check that hard drive, and you can always get that indicator too, right? You see this little record icon, looks like a little movie set snapper thing. So that is a pure indicator that it's recording, right? If you don't see that, that means it's not recording, and that's another reason why maybe you should go check that storage. Just say, hey, you know, I don't see that record icon. Let me jump in here and check this hard disk and make sure it's normal, you know, recording, or if it's even listed. So if it's not there, obviously, if it was ordered with the hard drive, definitely let us know. We can take care of that for you.
Luis, back under the P2P section, can you let's just cover the add without sign up real quick, just to give them an idea what that does.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, add without sign up. I mean, you can jump directly in. So when you download the mobile app, it's going to give you the option to actually sign up for an account, or you can actually just scan the code without having an account. There is pros and cons, right, of add without sign up. The pro obviously is there's not a lot of registration and setup involved, right? The customer doesn't have to put their email address in, or you don't have to have an account to scan this code. You know, you're up and running like within 1 minute, to be honest, right? The downside to that, though, right, you're going to lose a lot of functionality of some remote options you're going to have for remote password resets, you know, sharing options, access to the web browser, things like that. You're going to lose some of those functionalities, and most importantly, the P2P firmware upgrades, right?
Yep.
So even though this box is convenient and quick, you do get, you know, most likely you will, if there is an issue with these units, you're going to have to go back out to that site at that point, right? With the P2P option, you can handle a lot of these problems that people are having, even if it's a firmware upgrade or password reset. That can be handled from the P2P, from the Star4Live website, which we're going to cover here in a second. So huge benefits of actually registering for an account is that you have those options to do password resets.
Yeah, so I think if, you know, overall, if you want to get a customer up and running, you can literally scan that QR code. As long as it's plugged into a router, plugged into an ISP provider, you're going to get the connection. But downside is management, feature management. So the question is, you know, we were talking about if we should turn this on or off by default. If you guys want to just, you know, shoot your opinion out, you know, turn it on or off by default. You know, it helps us gather more information on how we should set this. Last thing we want to do is, you know, give you guys a perception where you can scan this QR code, you leave your customer, and then the customer doesn't get any firmware upgrade notifications or anything else like that. And you thought, hey, customer's up and running, we're good to go. But It's something that we're working on, something we want to help improve, but there's times where, maybe the customer don't have access to an email address or something like that. They just want to get this up and running really quick, or maybe your technicians wants to get this up and running really quick, just so they could adjust cameras. There's different options for it, pros and cons, but again, just we wanted to make sure we call that out so you guys are aware.
I think overall we highly recommend signing up, right?
Yes,
That's our
100%.
stance on that. Obviously, you do have the option to do add without sign up, but it's per our recommendation. We would really like if you guys actually signed up for an account.
Yeah,
So-
you're going to hear about P2P throughout this presentation today because we think it's that important. So
yeah, I mean, I'm 100%. I was one of those guys that was a little reluctant, right? Specifically with P2P, the witness P2P wasn't real robust. It wasn't real. I'm pretty sure maybe I even talked to you guys about this, over the phone and tech support over the past 3 years or so. It was kind of hit or miss, right? With witness, it was the registration process to me for witness seemed very tedious. It was all kind of codes and passwords and verification codes involved and emails, and it was back and forth. And I remember being like, man, there's like tons of things you have to do just to get the P2P set up. And on top of that, once you get it set up, it really didn't have a whole lot of options, right? So with Vigilant, I was a little reluctant to jump into the P2P. And once I really started with my test units here, giving it a whirl, doing some test runs, the more I was like, man, this is pretty simple. Specifically when I made the video, right? When I made the video content showing how to set up the P2P, I was kind of surprised on how quick it took me. That was pretty quick. It was like a 2 or 3 step process, and you're up and running. So it's definitely something that has been improved, and it's well more versatile compared to what we used to offer with our P2P options. So
yeah, hopefully it makes it easier for you guys. But yeah, let's cover the rest. Let's do an overview
Yeah.
of the rest real quick.
So I'm just going to jump straight to the tool. Now that this unit is online, you do have a tool available that you can download, our Alibi Vigilant Toolbox, and this shows the units here that I have on my home network. Obviously, the 4-channel is our test unit. This 8-channel here is my home unit, which I used to have a witness unit, but now I completely just run on Vigilant. So yeah, if you see the 4-channel has an IP address of 192.168.1.136, and that's another quick way you can, if you don't have a monitor attached and you plug everything in, let's say if we didn't have this this local interface available, we can still do all this configuration, etc. If you just have a laptop, right? Connect to their Wi-Fi, connect it to the network. You can use it, pull this tool up. It'll tell you the IP address of the unit, and then you can just kind of toss it into a web browser, which I'm going to pull up here. Let me close this out.
We'll cover a little bit more of the toolbox later,
Yeah,
just to show you the benefits.
So yeah, so now that if you log into a web browser, obviously I went through the login page already, so it's gonna it's gonna ask you for the username and password, possibly load that plugin there, and then you do have a Start All Live View button here on the bottom that will start both of those cameras. But tons of options here, right? So if this was your initial setup and you logged in through the web browser, it will prompt you to, you'll put that default password in, and it will prompt you to create a new password at that moment. So. A lot of options in the web browser under setup. You have a lot of stuff here, and then I also have the Star4Live website open, and I do have this unit added to Star4Live. So if you were needed to create a new account, etc., you can do that through star4live.com. Before we get into the unit and all its features, I'm just going to kind of jump over this stuff. As you can see, I do have this unit added to this account. A real cool option here is this organization list here. And I think, Robbie was real adamant about getting this information to you guys. So you can actually create an org info list here, right? So as you can see, I kind of have a couple demos set up here where I feel like, hey, I could create a commercial option and a residential list, right? So when I add a unit, let's say if I added this unit here and I have it right now, it's not added to a list. So I can actually change that and select here. And I was like, you know what? This is a McDonald's store. So I'm just going to put it under McDonald's and hit save that. And it'll jump back to the main page. So now, if you have tons of your customers' devices added to the P2P account, you just want to see the McDonald's, you can just click, hey, I just want to see the McDonald's options. And it will bring up all the McDonald's. If I click on Starbucks, that unit doesn't show up there because it's not part of the Starbucks organization.
I'd like to interject right here. So just so we're clear, we have dealers now that they put every one of their customer accounts on their peer-to-peer account, and then they share that account or that location to whoever the end user is. The power of this is really, really big. You get to not have to keep up with passwords. You get to see that everything's online. If your customer calls, you can quickly log into the box and troubleshoot it. This being in one aggregated location is pretty huge from a management and keeping up with all the information in just one login. And it's kind of like your bank login, right? I mean, your company will have one login and they'll see all of their customers. When they share to a customer, they can pick the timeline. So let's make, maybe they're a lease to own or something like that. They can control that and they can figure out like, hey, I'm only going to share this for 2 years or 1 year or whatever. You get to have all of that under your control. And that's a big change from Witness. In Witness, when you did peer-to-peer, sorry about that, guys. When you did peer-to-peer, you only got mobile apps. On this, you get management, mobile app, browser, and CMS, no ports open. So this is a big, big deal. And we want to make sure that you understand that that's really, really huge for y'all as far as ease of use and management down the road.
Yeah, and we use this a lot, especially not just for you guys managing, but for any kind of support need as well. There's times where you guys might have an issue with a box, and we can actually access that box remotely and then config settings or see what's going on. So I think what Robbie is pointing out too is we have some dealers charging their customers, RMR, they have some type of model set up where they're able to cut off, video if they need to. So it's just a bunch of reasons on why it's easy to use and easy to manage. So overall, very easy to use, easy to manage going forward. And even for us, for support reasons, we're able to jump in and kind of see what's going on.
And plus, you don't have to do DNS or DDNS. It tracks everything for you and your customers. So it's a one-stop shop. They've simplified it down, and it only does outgoing ports for security. So there's nothing but upside when you do P2P.
Yeah, there's no limitations on the number of devices or you can add, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so I mean, there's just tons of benefits, right? I mean, compared to what we used to have, you have this organizational option here. So if you want to just add these your clients and customers via commercial or residential, you can do that. But the biggest changes here, like to me, the biggest benefits of this P2P option are these options here, right?
Do the share part real quick, just really quick. I know you just covered it real quick, but what this basically will show you how to you can share your device with someone else. Yeah.
So if somebody else has a username, you can type that username here or email address, and you can put a valid date here that you would like to share it to them till. Like obviously, if it's indefinitely, you can crank that up to like 2050. If you do have more than one,
default is 1 month. Yeah.
Yeah. The default is 30 days. So make sure to check that if you're going to be doing sharing, because you don't want to call on the 30 days. The user rights, if you do have a user account on this box, you can choose. I created a manager account on this box. If you create that account, select certain permissions for that account, you can choose that here. So they don't, maybe if you have a customer that's real finicky, they think they're always being watched. I've had tons of calls like that in the past where they think the FBI is following somebody or something, and they're always making changes on their boxes every day, right? They're calling in, I need to change the password, I need to change the password. You can kind of limit those actions for those kind of customers, right?
Admin would give them full control. So again, this is where you can manage which cameras they see. It's just basically how you set up the user profile.
Yeah. So obviously the change button is going to give you, you can rename it, and you can also select a different organization. Let's say, you know what, this is no longer this account. It's a Starbucks. Actually, we messed up. We can switch it to Starbucks. And then that's going to move to the Starbucks organization list. So now if I click McDonald's, there's nothing there. Starbucks. Now that unit is under Starbucks, right? The retrieve password option. This is a huge benefit for the P2P, right? You have your customer's unit added to your account. You have it shared with them. You get that phone call that says, hey, I don't remember my password, right? Previously, you would have to go on site. You have to let us log in. We have to use a tool, all this crazy stuff we would have to do with the witness. Here, you can just log into the P2P, right? Basically, you can do a password reset from here. You'll get a code, right? It'll send you a temporary password that you can give that customer. And when you do, they will log in with that password and it'll ask them to create a new password at that moment. So It's not even, you won't even be giving them a password. It'd be like, hey, I don't know what your password was. I don't know what your new password's going to be, but this is how, with this code, it's going to prompt you to create a new password. And you
Yeah.
do that. If you forget
So-
your password again, just give me a ring and I'll just send you another code, right? So
Yeah, if you guys have done it with Witness, you know you have to call our tech support, give them a string of information, and you get a temporary password. So it's a a lot of time spent sitting on the phone call. It's the benefit of P2P. It's password reset. You can do it yourself, and then firmware upgrades, do it yourself. I think we didn't touch on the old days of firmware where you would have to call tech support or maybe download the right, put it in a zip folder, till you rev to the right version. All those headaches are gone with Star4Live.
Hey, Luis, Omar
Yes,
had a
sir.
good question, and you had showed it earlier. Show how you can, like, if your tech uploads into the root file for P2P, but you want to move it to residential, can you show him how to, when you click change device, where that's located at again?
yeah. So Omar, if it's the same Omar, I know. Good morning, Omar. So right here under change device for that unit, if you hit the change option here, you'll have org name. Obviously, you can rename it. Let's say if you had it, you could give it a name, but also there's a select option right here. So you hit the select, and then you can choose your organization or whatever group you want to put it into. Residential. Let's say it's actually residential. So, and then I hit save here, and it will move it into that. When you're adding a unit as well, right? So let's say if I want to hit add device, it's going to give you the option to select your organization when you add it. So each unit does have a registration code that's in the P2P. So if you actually put that code in there, gave it a nickname or a device name, then you can still choose here. The cool thing is that is adjustable, right? It's not permanent. You don't have to delete the unit to re-add it to a different organization, right? All you got to do is go in and hit the change option.
And
So-
you can do a lot of this from your phone. So if
As
if your tech's all about mobile apps, doesn't want to break out the laptop, or maybe he broke the laptop, happens,
Mhm.
he's got his iPhone or his Android, he can do all this functionality straight from there. So there's no reason for him to have to leave and make a retrip.
Yeah, and this Star4Live website here is actually currently what I'm working on for the next YouTube video. So just guys keep your eyes open in the next week or so. And there should be like a whole overview, pretty much everything that we're covering today about the Star4Live, adding units, removing units, sharing, password resets, all that good stuff. So that way, outside of this webinar, if you do just wanted a quick 5-minute video that kind of covers everything, that's going to be available here coming soon. And then obviously go ahead. Patrick.
I believe Omar was actually asking how to add an organizational list. So say he
Oh,
put them
okay.
all under root and he wants to add other organizations and then move them.
Okay, so if you click on the org list option here, right, you can, so under root, and there's an add org button here. You see that? So if you click on add org, you can actually select, let's say if I wanted to add, I don't know, Wendy's, right? So, that's gonna be a commercial. So we'll select commercial here, and then organization name we'll put Wendy's here, right? And then we'll confirm that. And that has added Wendy's into the commercial option here. If you're back on org list here, obviously I think it goes down to 3. So I believe I can, let's try it. I think it goes 3 tiers down. So you have root, commercial, I think McDonald's. I'm not sure if we can get further than McDonald's. So let's try. Let's see, Wendy's. Let's see if we can add another, let's say South Side, right? On the south side of your town.
Yeah, I've added multiple.
Let's see. I know there's a limit. Eventually it'll tell you that you can't go any further. So I believe this is the last one you can go to. Let's try one more since we're here, right? So if we choose add organization, and let's add Southside, and then we'll put West Street, right? Yeah, West Street, right? Let's see if it lets us add that. So yeah, so 3 levels is going to be your highest on that, right? So when you're planning your organizations, make sure you keep that in mind that you're only going to go to 3. But this is pretty far still, right? You have root, commercial, Wendy's, and Southside. So really, you have almost 4 that you can kind of.
And then under Wendy's, you can kind of unlimit it. Like if, let's say your franchise owner has 30 locations, you can just stack them underneath all that Wendy's. Because we run into that a lot.
So even there, we go back to change here. We can toss this under. We can toss this under the South side here,
So
and that'll move it to Wendy's on the south side.
Yeah, so hopefully you can see it's a lot of management capabilities, make it easy for you to manage your customers, whether it's a certain type of customers or locations. You can see here we could pretty much access anyone, retrieve information, share that information now. Makes it very easy to use and manage and keep track of overall.
Okay.
So hopefully this is an easy tool for you guys.
Yeah, and the last thing to cover in Star4Live before we get into the unit stuff is just the access button. Huge benefit here. No port forwarding involved, anything like that. Once your P2P is set up and your units are online, customer calls you and they have issues, you can just log in, hit this access button, and it takes you directly to the unit. And it'll actually log into it as well.
Yeah, and this is local or remote. So you could do this locally or remote.
So this is local or remote, right? So you can log into the unit, you can check on it, you can hit the setup. Pretty much every option you have through the web browser is going to be here, right? So huge benefit. No port forwarding, none of that stuff involved. You can be at the airport waiting and get a call, right? You can just pull your laptop out and check your customer's unit right there while you're in the terminal, right? So huge benefit. All the options you would see, maintenance, etc., things like that. So that to me, that's like the biggest benefit of this Star4Live option that Vigilant has. So there's no need to kind of go over all these options here. We're about to do that here under this, about to go over the unit itself. So at this point, if you guys have any more questions about the Star4Live, let us know. If not, we're going to move forward here into the camera options. And I think Patrick and Norman are going to kind of cover some of this stuff here.
Before we go into that, just go to the network section, just so we could cover the P2P section, just an overview real quick. So this is just what it looks like. So exactly as if we were sitting in front of the unit, similar layout. So you can scan this QR code from here, or like as we mentioned earlier, locally. So just want to make sure we cover that. Just as we're already talking about P2P and Star4Live, you can see the units up and running.
Yeah, it looks just like the prior screen that you guys had up.
Yeah.
As well as deleting the account. A lot of times I remember we used to get calls on the witness line saying it was, the NVR recorder was bound to a certain account. That person maybe left the company. If you want to delete that user, you can actually do that from here as well.
Yeah, so it's, kind of what Patrick's stating is your employee left, he owned the account. We would have to actually go into the server, find that information and manually delete it. It was a long process. This one allows you to manage it yourself. Very easy. So again, make sure if you're doing this, you have control of your Star4Live account, or you have control of your admin accounts. If you give customers admin privileges, they can kind of go in and start to change things. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's let's start from the top real quick and let's go through an overview.
Yeah, I do want to add that today on this session, we're not going to go through the process of adding witness cameras to Vigilant MVRs or vice versa. We actually covered that in a prior webinar session, and we have separate videos that are available on YouTube. So if you guys need that information, we've got really simple videos. And then, like I said, we covered that in one of our webinars too. But more importantly, find those videos are like 3 to 5 minutes long. They make it, they break down the process, make it super simple.
Yeah, Luis did a really good job to show you guys. Again, watch the videos if you want to know how to add witness to Vigilant or vice versa, Vigilant to your witness recorders. We have a video to walk you through it. It shows you 1-step process, 4-step process. It's very easy. So under this, we're just going to go over the overview. This is the camera tab. It will show you information as far as what you have plugged in right now. You can see you can actually modify auto search or search segments. Under the advanced tab, if you click that real quick, right there it says check new version. That's where you'd want to go to check for new firmware version on the cameras that are attached to your box. We'll show you another section where you check the recorder. This is how you can actually check the Vigilant cameras on your box. If there is an update, the little by cloud will be highlighted, and then you'll upgrade. And you can do one camera or all at the same time. So very easy. As we go under the encoding tab, this is where you would actually just adjust your encoding streams. Under storage mode, if you go to the top there, Luis, on there, yeah, a little bit more, one more. Under where select camera at the, and go right to the storage mode. Depending on how you have this set, this will be your recording. So again, main and substream or main and third stream. Depends on how you want to set up. I believe default, Patrick, is main and sub. I'm not.
Main and third stream.
Main and third. Okay, so main and third is exactly how you see it there. So you can adjust those. We support triple string recorders and cameras, mainly for bandwidth reasons, especially through the mobile app. This way you can actually have video transmitting through, but in the back end, you're recording at a higher resolution. So this makes it very easy and fluent for your video to come through without seeing any hiccups or pixelating, or if you guys have seen the green blocky screens from bandwidth issues, you won't see that with this. So again, adjusting your cameras, audio stream. If you have audio, you need to make sure that you get that checked. We had, again, just some basic settings down there that you'll see: smart encoding, adjust your bit rate. Everything we support on Vigilant is H.265. Just make sure if you're using, certain devices that might not be supported, just make sure you have those set correctly. Down there at the bottom, you can see where we could copy the parameters, or check the parameters, and then you could copy those for one camera or for all, or any individual that you like. Under the image, where you would adjust your image control, so brightness, contrast, exposure. You can see there's some default settings, especially if you mount the camera outside. You want to make sure you put that camera outdoors. I think that one's just Starlight there. Yeah. And then for indoor applications, make sure you set it for indoor. So again, this is where you want to go to adjust. If you want to turn off illumination, like infrared, this is where you can actually go and do that. So a lot of our cameras that support Starlight, if you have enough ambient light outside, you can color mode and see color 24/7. Give it a try. It's one of those where, your customer, incident happened at night, a vehicle comes down the road, a red car looks gray, black car looks gray. They all look the same in infrared. So offering some color detail will help you get more information for your customers, especially at nighttime. Infrared video is great, but if you're not able to tell the color of an object or vehicle, it's pretty much useless from there.
Yeah, you also have that option there, that exposure option. I think we
yes.
get some of the techs get calls with the rolling lines with these. A lot of people are using LED lights now, right? And they have different refresh rates. If you are seeing some kind of rolling lines and et cetera from lighting, you can also adjust this from 50 to 60 hertz. Typically, that will clear up that issue, right? Or if you said it's automatic, it will try to do its best. But if you're still having that option, that's kind of that trouble with that rolling line, you can do 50 or 60 hertz. Yeah. And typically that will clear that up.
Yeah, and like Luis said, we've seen it with a lot of either fluorescent or new LEDs. Some of the LEDs, we'll default this to 60 hertz in the future, but some of the LEDs we see out there maybe come from Asia. They're rolling on a 50 hertz versus 60, and you kind of have that strobe light effect. Adjusting that exposure mode will help you reduce that. Next, under scheduling, this is important to make sure you guys set this up. Depending on what cameras you set up, you might want to make sure that you set up, especially if you're doing some type of AI function, to event recording versus normal. But you can also always set up cameras to record, continuously or in a basic motion, and then still have that advanced feature in the background where it's detecting a person or vehicle detection. So just make sure that when you go through and set these up, you do go through, set them up appropriately. With most of the cameras that have maybe some advanced features like human or vehicle detection, keep in mind you want to set that up through the camera page itself. Go through the camera web page, set up your grids, and then from there, recorder. We're working on integration with our cameras as well as recorders, where you can do 100% everything through the recorder. We're hoping to have that maybe in the next couple of firmware revs to be able to offer you guys, but just something we're working on that's coming, but just keep that in mind.
I think something that Robbie touched on as well was, a lot of you guys are using those VCA features, human detection, line crossing, etc., even just regular motion. It's kind of a balance with the schedule here. Obviously, if you're just looking for continuous recording, that's pretty easy. You can just set it to normal. If you're using anything motion or more advanced, it's probably best just to set it to event, and that will record any motion events, VCA events, human body detection, line crossing, anything. So if you just have this set to motion and you have those VCA events, you may not capture some of those. So you want to make sure to just have it on event.
On the event, the event kind of takes into account everything. So I like to just tell everybody, just use that, because most people aren't doing continuous anymore. They're doing either motion or some kind of event-based recording. And on the old Witness, because we didn't have very much event-based recording going on, they almost always just use motion. So with our newer system, I would suggest just use an event that covers all your bases, and then you just move on.
As we go into the, we'll cover some of the motion settings. So let's just go in, just go to motion real quick. Yeah. So there's basically motion detection here. Just make sure you check the box, set your grid. You can set, schedule or trigger actions from there. Same thing for the next few items below that you see there: video loss, tampering, privacy. And you'll see one that says human body detection. We offered some cameras or features that have human body detections, mainly in our Flex line. It's more of an advanced motion detection. And then we also have pedestrian detection, which we'll cover here in a little bit. So again, this is where you would go and set that up for your recording, reduce false alarms, or reduce less false alarms, basically. So from those trees, so on. If we go roll into, pretty much every setting that you could set: recording, schedule, so on. So some type of action item. So under VCA, you can kind of see there's a there. So just depending on if your camera supports it, it'll be enabled or not. Line crossing is very basic. You can set up a line. The main advantage, though, compared to witness versus this, is you can do human or vehicle detection for that line cross, or even for intrusion. So makes it very easy. If you guys have seen it, same functions. As far as if you want to see if someone's coming from point A to point B or vice versa, or it doesn't matter, same settings that you'll see there. But I think the key thing is we can integrate human or vehicle detection to reduce those false alarms. So it's really important, especially if you're getting any kind of push notification or email notification, or if your customer is playing back video. If there's a guard station where they have to play back video, see what happened through the night, this would speed up that process for them. Let's see, next tab. Hard disk, just basic hard drive information. If you click onto the config button over on the right side, see here, just gives you more information from there. Under allocate space, the next tab, you can actually allocate a certain amount of space for a particular camera. Say you have a mission critical camera, or one that's really one that you need to make sure that you have a certain amount of data for, or it's maybe the front door camera, or the one that's going to record all the information. You can allocate space for there. And then you could copy that information to certain cameras if you wanted, so you could kind of spread it out. That way, you're grouping. It's kind of like on Witness where you could group your hard drives. Similar feature. Under, let's see the next tab. Which one is it?
I was going to mention first, on other recorders, Luis just happened to have a 4-channel with only one hard drive bay. On other recorders that have 2 or more, there is a hard disk grouping option. So you can actually group certain cameras to go to certain, specific hard drives, things like that. If you're familiar doing that with the Witness line, as well as other recorders higher end that have RAID features, you would find that also in the hard disk setting there.
Yeah. So under alarm section is where you would set up your alarm input, outputs, buzzer, doorbell call is something we're working on for future doorbell. So it's in there, but act like you don't see it right now. But something that we're working on for the future, feedback from you guys, something we offered on the Witness side, ran into some hiccups. So the next version we're working on, we want to make sure it's solid. So, but yeah, all your alarm settings will be done through there. We support just the standard normal open, normal close type of contacts. I think we skipped a spot. Go under alert. This is where you can actually alert either the buzzer, which would be internal for the recorder, or you could actually send an email notification. On the alert type, you could have different types of notification go out, whether it's IP conflict or hard drive or any information. You can actually have that send out a alert for you.
Yeah, can you drop down that list?
Yeah, there it goes. So whether it's network disconnection, hard drive's full, hard drive issue, your unit's not recording anymore for whatever reason, you could have that send you an email or trigger the internal buzzer. The internal buzzer is that it's a little piezo horn built inside of the recorder. Just this annoying beep is what you would hear. Let's see here. Under next is our network settings. Luis kind of covered this earlier. We won't go too much through it, but if you need to do any IP configuration, P2P, we don't support any more DDNS, but if you're still there, we could do that. Port mapping, email notification, down to our multicasting. Platform access is just for security. You guys are needing to turn that on, you can. This is where we would set up a user. If you could just go to either add or modify, maybe one of them, just so we could show the configuration. So from here, you could enter in a username, password. I think that's some of the advantages, not saying advantage, but you could create a username compared to we can only use user. So just some advantages. Again, give them privileges, basic permissions on playback, and then which cameras they want to see. You can pretty much control any of that. So if you don't want to have playback, you don't want to hear audio because you might be talking about them, bunch of reasons to edit that. So, and again, all that will be pushed to the Star4Live server, as Louis showed you earlier. So as you share that, you give the second user permission to share. They would only have access to whatever you gave them. This is really important under maintenance is our log query, especially on the witness side. There's a lot of say illegal logins or some type of hacking, or maybe a hard drive crash or network disconnection, or someone internally changed the password or changed the IP address. This will show you that information. Really important, especially if you're talking to tech support, you're running into issues, you're trying to figure out why maybe a camera stopped recording, or maybe you're having some buggy issues with the box. This will help you kind of pull a log and a query to see what's going on. And as you can see there, from hard drive down to IP conflict, illegal access, down to someone disconnected the network. You could do a log on that.
I think this is kind of one of those spots where this will really benefit you using the P2P option, right? You can log in through your Star4Live. You can access the box via web browser. And if you have a customer saying, hey, I don't have any playback, or, I'm having other issues, you can really go in here, set up your time frame, to kind of crank it back, whatever you would like. And then choosing the alert option here is going to give you all the alerts that pertain to these kind of conflicts here, right? So if you have anything wrong with the hard drive, IP conflicts, some abnormal stuff, and you hit search here, this box is probably not going to have any because it's only been on for a few days. But you would see that there's any catastrophic situations going on with your customer's box. You would see that right here. If you don't see anything, most likely there's a configuration situation going on. Maybe they went in and changed something they weren't supposed to, right? So yeah, it's a huge benefit to kind of go in and check the alert log. Even if they say, hey, it's not recording motion or whatever, or whatever it is. Let's see all types here, and I saw some motion notifications, right? So it's so it will tell you that it is recording motion, etc. So if they say, hey, camera one's not recording motion, you can log in and be like, I see these detections here, so it's recording something, right? So huge benefit for the log query. It seems to be a little bit more functional compared to the witness stuff. And, bundled up with the P2P option, Star4Live, it's a huge benefit for you guys to kind of remotely check all this information of your customers' units, especially if you have added their customer added to your account and then you share it to them at that point. So,
yeah, useful. Make sure you guys pull a log if you have any, issues going on. It makes it really quick to identify it. And then under maintenance, as we kind of hammered, checking firmware through the tool or through the mobile app, which we'll cover here, this is where you would check it for your recorder. So again, we showed you under the camera section is where you would check for the IP cameras that are attached to the box. And then under maintenance, just where it should be is where you can actually just check your firmware for your recorder. Good thing is all these are up to date, but again, make sure you do this. And again, we'll cover through the mobile app, but say your guys go out and get these installed, they're up and running, they can actually go to lunch real quick and then do the firmware upgrades through their app, which we'll talk through here in a minute. So I think some of the key takeaways, for what we just showed you guys is, the Vigilant UI is very easy to use and navigate. I mean, just like Witness, it has more features, functionalities than Witness, and has more built-in analytics, so you kind of see all of that. And then we cover some of the P2P. P2P makes it easy to manage, all your customers through one portal. It also makes it easy to reset passwords or manage, your devices, whether it's mobile app or CMS. So a lot of advantages with P2P for Vigilant for sure. All right, I think next let's just do a real quick.
I'm gonna crank up the mobile app here. Let me see if I can get it going.
Good. Yeah, maybe we could.
So do we need to go into the anything in the toolbox before we go to the mobile app?
Yeah, if you could show the toolbox screen,
Yeah, let's try that.
just the PowerPoint that I have. I think it's slide 20.
Okay, slide 20. There we go.
Yeah, let's see here. So basically, overall, the toolbox, just kind of give you a little overview. You can see device config, channel configuration, upgrade. What we're calling out here is just kind of that upgrade section. You got your devices plugged into your network, or they're in the recorder. You can actually go and just click online upgrade. And from here, it actually will find the firmware and let you know. And you can see there, the first two cameras recognize there's a new firmware for it, but that third one is already at its latest version. So from there, you just hit OK and it'll upgrade those cameras for you automatically. You can actually see a little progress bar. Once they're completed, the cameras will automatically reboot and then they're online with the latest firmware. So it makes it very easy. Again, we stress using this tool. The tool has benefit, for finding your devices. Not only that, it'll find other devices out there. It'll find witness products, Hikvision vision products. It'll find on-div products. So very, very flexible tool. It's able to see a lot that's out there. But yeah, so key benefit of the tool is, it's going to make it easier for you to get your product set up or devices set up and then manage it going forward from there. And we have some other things built in, like the calculation. So bandwidth, storage calculation is all built into that tool too. Helps you out.
All right, let me see if I can get this mobile app fired up here before we run too long.
Yeah, so with the mobile app, we'll just cover kind of just the app setup and overview. We'll show you kind of the share settings. And one of the other things is how to report an issue or pull a log from that. And that's, as we move, with mobile app, there's multiple mobile apps out there. There's different iOS versions, people not upgrading. These are the things that we just want to make sure as we move forward, we help fix that. So we have a function built into where you can actually report a problem, include a screenshot of that. And that way it's more accurate information versus just a word of mouth. And we'll cover that here in a minute. And then one of the key things is just how to check a firmware upgrade. So
yeah, so just kind of covering like over the mobile app. So this unit was added to this account. So I'm just going to go to devices here. If you tap the three dots there, you hit start live view. You can see those images coming up. Pretty basic functionality overall. I'm not going to really cover like, just switching cameras, etc. More into the menu. So the Vigilant mobile app has a lot of benefits compared to the Witness one. Obviously under devices is where you'll have some options here. If you hit the three dots next to your device, and you can see you have your P2P upgrade option. I know that's another, like I said, a reoccurring theme we've been talking about is this P2P and upgrading. If you choose that option here, it's going to give you, see how these are saying that these are on the latest firmwares here. So, I mean, if correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick, if there's an upgrade available, you'll see a red dot next to the camera or unit. And at that point, you can select it and actually upgrade the unit directly from the app.
It'll show you a red dot all the way back on the device page, device list, and
so right here, it'll show you a red dot.
It'll show you one there. Even use the three dots. It'll show you another one next to the peer-to-peer upgrade option, and then even from here, it'll have a little checkbox you would tap to initiate the upgrade.
And then you would choose start upgrade down there.
Yeah, the mobile app makes it very easy to identify if there's a firmware. As Patrick says, as soon as you see the device on the left-hand side, there will be a dot that shows you that's giving you indication that there's a firmware upgrade.
Yeah, whether it's for the NVR itself or any IP camera attached to that recorder.
Yeah, and we're going to reiterate, guys, that when you install this solution, when your techs are on site, or if you're on site, make sure you upgrade firmware before you leave site. And then to Norman's point, if for some reason you forget, it just slips your mind and you leave and you're in the truck and you go grab lunch, you go, oh crap, I forgot to upgrade the firmware on there. You can do that from the app. Right, so you can go in and check to make sure that there's not a firmware upgrade available, and if there is, you can push it to the customer's devices.
Yeah, I think that's something that maybe we've missed overall with all this P2P conversation is definitely check for, once you get your customer set up, make sure to check for those updates before you leave site there, or as soon as you get that set up, do those updates, because that'll just keep the customer up and running smoothly without any phone calls, etc. So
yeah, and if Robbie was still on, and Robbie had to drop off, but if he was on, he would reiterate that in a big way, because some of our dealer partners have called up with issues that were easily resolved with the firmware upgrade. Okay.
Mhm.
So we're going to hammer that, right? And it's going to be one of the first things that our techs ask you if you call in with issues is it running the latest firmware, both the box and the edge devices? Make sure you upgrade the firmware.
Hey, Luis, can you just go back to that device and click the add tab just to show them what that looks like? So yeah. So from there
Yeah.
you can see, you can scan the QR code. That's that top one. Manual add would you basically punch in the information manually, so you know the information for the device. Auto search is probably one of the easier ways finding devices on your network if there are any. You check that, it'll find them. You add it to your mobile app, and then from there you can just click bind to my account, and that will basically bind it to your P2P account. And then add Wi-Fi devices. So we have Wi-Fi cameras. We can actually add Wi-Fi to it, and it's very easy to do it. It's basically you'll point your camera at the phone, it'll talk to each other, and then from there you're up and running. So it makes it very easy for our adding Wi-Fi devices, especially from Vigilant. So I just want to
Yeah.
make sure we cover the add by.
So just to kind of confirm here, my units didn't show up here because I have multiple networks in my house, obviously, because I'm that kind of guy. So
They need to be on the same network for
yeah,
sure.
it has to be the same Wi-Fi. My phone's on a different network than
Yeah,
than my
they can all be on
computer.
the same network, but yeah, if it's on if that's plugged into a certain router, you need to make sure you're on that one to access it.
And then obviously scan the code is to scan the QR code, which is to me the simplest way to do that. Into the menu, a couple options you can do here. If you sign up through the mobile app and it gives you this weird username like mine has here, you can actually create a new one here and save that, and that'll just update so you don't have that LY2 whatever it is. You can create a username. Also, under local config, you want to make sure that this auto detect device upgrade is on. That way you will get those notifications or little red dots when your device does have an upgrade available. Also, you know, there's also forget device password option in here as well, where you can do a password reset. Also, here, we go back here, trying to scan the code, but it gives you the instructions there as well underneath how to do that. A huge benefit of the mobile app, though, what I always tell people is just the help option. There's a lot of cool information in here under the FAQ. If your customers have any questions, you can always refer them to the FAQ. There's a lot of information on how to do certain things in the mobile app. And the function introduction is pretty much a manual for the mobile app. So, I mean, it gives you all the descriptions of the icons, right? If you had any questions, that's all going to be there.
It's like a quick start guide that helps you find
Pretty
everything.
much, yeah. This is a huge benefit to me. Like
Mhm.
I learned most of the mobile app basically just through this this function introduction.
Yeah.
So it tells you how to add and remove devices if needed, alarm notifications, how to enable those. So it's
And
really
as you guys are showing your customer, you could pretty much just show them.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, you could basically, as you get the customer up and running, versus training them on how to use the app, you could just take them to this area, to the function introduction, and they can actually just walk through each one. And that way, it's, as Louis said, it shows you how to do it. It's very intuitive, and it's already built into the app. So
Yeah, and then I think the last thing probably I want to cover here with the mobile app is just the alarm notifications. I don't know if I have any motion detection set up on that unit, but the difference between Witness and Vigilant was on Witness, you had to enable the notifications for P2P on the unit. With Vigilant, you actually enable and disable that on the app itself. So, you know, if I hit allow notifications here, I turn the Vigilant demo on, and then if I hit advanced setting on the bottom, I can actually go to the per camera basis here. So you know, you can just turn the events on for this camera. You can set a time, schedule, and then what kind of events you would like, right, for those specific cameras. So let's say if I just wanted channel 1 only, under type, I say, you know, I only want motion detection alerts. I don't want this other stuff. And I save that. That will send those alerts to the phone, right? So you don't have to do any changes on the box itself. As long as you have your motion set up and all that good stuff, this is where your customers or your customers will enable and disable those alerts under the notification. And just to kind of clear that up, from the main menu, alarm notifications, and so you can see they're already kind of filtering in from previously. You know, so they're already starting to come through. And not only will it show you new ones, but it'll show you ones that were previously already on there as well. So that's the
and again, just
way.
make sure you guys set that up. But kind of the benefit, as we stated, is if you only want to get some type of motion or event, that way you're not receiving false alarms. This would be a good tool for your customers to receive that notification.
I think also too, the last thing with the notifications is make sure that your customer does have that app, does have permission from the actual phone operating system to send those notifications. That tends to be a common issue that we see coming across is like, hey, you know, my customer's not getting notifications, and a lot of times it's just the
Can you
phone.
share
The
that
phone
one,
setting.
the remote configuration real quick?
What was that?
The remote configuration through the app.
Oh, okay. Let me go back here.
That's the one piece we missed there. But yeah, overall, the key takeaways for the app, it's receive push notifications for the event. It's going to be the remote configuration that we'll show you here in a second, and then the one-click firmware upgrading just makes it easier. So whether your customers want to see motion or events when they're not at home or on their own vacation, they could do that. Your installers or even the customer wants to maybe do some remote configuration, adjust motion, adjust the grid, change the time and date, they could do that remotely as well. And then again, the main thing is that we hammered is one-click firmware upgrade, whether it's at the unit, mobile app, through the browser, so on. I go under remote config.
I just remember when Robbie set up his Vigilant system at home, right? He did everything through the app. He didn't even go into the web browser. I mean, he literally auto detected the devices on the network, added everything, got it all set up, and it was super easy. And I think that's kind of the fundamental thing with the app is it's really intuitive to use, and it just makes setup and management of the system incomparable when we talk about it compared to Witness.
Yeah, for sure. And that's how I set mine up. I did it through the mobile app, download the mobile app, sign up for account, scan the QR code, bind it to my account, I was done. So made it very simple. And again, for you guys, it might be different on how you get it set up and running, but again, just the mobile app makes it easy to get it up and running really fast. It's so doing it through the mobile app or using our Toolbox to configure the devices and then going through there. We try to provide you guys, multiple tools to make it easier. And I think that's the key thing here is make it easier for you guys to use, and especially learning a new product. So hopefully it's not a huge learning curve. Hopefully from what you've seen here so far, we're able to provide the same features or more, or make it even easier to use or better for sure. But I think that's it for the mobile app. If we could go to the tools and resource tab, I think that's pretty much it for the demo and walkthrough, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We're really fortunate in that we've got such an awesome product management team and sales team. And our goal in putting on this session, as we mentioned before, is to make sure you guys are super comfortable selling and installing Vigilant solutions. With Luis on board, we put a real effort into creating meaningful video content that can really serve as training mechanisms for your installers and techs, right? We've taken a lot of the functionality and features and broken them into little tiny, really digestible videos, right? So a lot of times if you guys are on site and you're struggling with something, literally if you have your phone on, you go out to the YouTube channel, more than likely you're going to find the solution for the questions that you guys have. But more importantly, go out to the channel, find Alibi Security, subscribe, click on the bell, make sure that you get notifications whenever we post new video content, right? And then when we talk about Witness to Vigilant, on the website as well, we've created a little cross-reference matrix. So if you used to sell Vigilant cameras, right, and you're looking for what the comparative Vigilant camera is, we've put together that little matrix for you, right? It says, hey, if you're selling the NS2114, you're going to sell the X version of the Vigilant, right? So that's available for download online, as you see on the screen here. And it should just make it easier for you guys to start understanding what the comparable equipment is on the Vigilant side of things. More importantly, if you have any questions, reach out to a dedicated account manager. Ping us via the contact us on the website if you have any additional topics. Somebody mentioned that they'd love a video tutorial on the app. Well, that's something we'll put on our video list, right? We're trying to knock down barriers for you guys and make sure that as you're out there trying to provide your customers with great solutions, you're super comfortable selling Vigilant. Again, we realize a lot of you guys have been selling Witness for a long time. We've got videos on the YouTube channel about how those platforms work together, right? Attaching Vigilant cameras to Witness boxes, attaching Witness cameras to Vigilant boxes, right? We've broken it down so it's really super simple and easy to understand and manage on your end. So don't be afraid about, intermixing those. If you've got Witness boxes out there in the field that you've installed and you want to start selling Vigilant gear and attaching it to those boxes, our team has put together a process to make that possible, right? And also talk to your dedicated account manager as you're ordering your gear. We have our Observant Integration Center can help you through part of that process. We've got specific SKUs that we add to specific orders if you're trying to make these things interoperable, and our OIC can do a lot of the work for you, okay? Our goal is to make sure you guys are super successful out there in selling the latest line, the latest gear. It's not fun having to learn new solutions. We get that, right? We've been doing this for 30 years. So we've seen manufacturing partners come and go, and our product management team is dedicated to providing you guys with the technical information that you need in order to be successful. So let us know how we can help. We're here to make sure you're successful, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys on the next Alibi Security live webinar series. We really appreciate your time. And again, this will be available on our YouTube channel probably within about 24 to 36 hours at the latest. So if you want to run your text through this, make sure you find it and share it through your organization, okay?
I think Nancy said the YouTube page is awesome, so appreciate that, Nancy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
It is awesome.
Yeah, I think just a real quick thing. There's a browser question. We're recommending IE, especially if you want to do live or playback. There's a lot of browser support end of lifing. So there's not a lot we can do. We're working on some single client software or software you could load onto the PC to run devices from there. But just end of life on browser support is coming. There's not a lot that we can do from there.
I think also like the CMS, like Vigilant CMS, is a topic that probably needs to be added to a YouTube situation, right? So maybe we can get a video covering installation and setup of the Vigilant CMS, just because Windows 11 is coming out, and I think the support for IE unfortunately is going to be almost out the window at that point. So
yeah, everything. So yeah, we could possibly use our CMS. It's not necessarily something you have to use for multiple devices. It'd work with one, but we're working on a lighter version. There's a question for Gary on functionality when using Witness cameras with Vigilant NVRs. Do we lose anything? Main thing we're guaranteeing is you'll have motion, PTZ, audio. The things that we know that will not pass through is those special functions like human or vehicle detection or license plate data information. So just those specialty things won't pass through, but the core information will come through for sure.
What about like siren strobe?
No, not siren strobe. So any of those functionality, those special functions, we just won't support. So motion, PTZ, audio are the things that we support. Let's see here. We have a question on which recorders are rack mountable. I think, Patrick, we have most of those listed.
Yeah, it's just all but the 4-channel.
Yeah, so everything but the 4-channel will support rack mount. And if you've seen our 4-channel NVR, it's a little white square boxes. We brought that one in for residential usage, and the feedback that we're getting is very positive on it. So let us know if you guys like that one or not, but it just makes the install cleaner, especially when customers want a small box. Cool.
Yeah,
I think
that's it from a Q&A perspective. So,
man, you guys are awesome. Appreciate.
yeah, thanks for all the time.
Yeah, thanks for all the questions. Thanks for the time and attention. We know it's hard to carve out this much time on a Thursday morning as you guys are trying to manage your business and sell and install solutions. So we appreciate the time. Let us know how we can help. We'll see you next time.